And welcome back to Law and Crime right now. We're going to switch gears to Eric Boyd's trial. This is the 27-year-old man who's accused in the gruesome murders of Shannon Christian and her boyfriend, Christopher Newsom. This happened back in 2007. Boyd is the fifth of 5 defendants charged in the torture slayings of this couple. He has already been charged in relation to their murders and is now looking at a new set of charges. Now, according to police, the victims were kidnapped, beaten, raped, and killed. Shannon Christian was only 21 years old when her and her boyfriend, Christopher, who's 23, they were ambushed in a parking lot and then carjacked. They were taken in Christian's car to a rental house that belonged to the ringleader of this group of men, of the suspects here, and both of them were beaten, raped, and tortured. Newsom was executed a couple hours after he was abducted, and then his body was set on fire. Shannon is believed to have been held captive in the house for about 24 hours when she was repeatedly assaulted. Ultimately, she was wrapped in trash bags, stuffed inside a trash can, and left to die and suffocate. You are taking a live look right now at that courtroom. We know that there is a crime scene technician on the stand. You can see they are showing some video, so let's take you there live. All right, so we are looking at Joe Cox, who is a crime scene investigator. He has been explaining and showing us, basically walking us through this video, and the video is a walkthrough of the house. This is the house that was on Chipman Street, and this is where the suspects allegedly brought both of the victims. So we see them going through this home. He's talking about the things that they are seeing, pointing out a lot of those details, evidence type of things through this house. Gene, why are they doing this for us?
Oh, this is phenomenal. And I recommend to every crime scene investigator, it's great to take photos, but do a video. But make sure you have enough people to witness the video so they can testify about it at the trial. This is like a documentary, and you feel like it's a recreation of the crime. Photos are great, but this video is very powerful.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost more raw because we are seeing, you know, this shaky cell phone video going through the house, and we are almost seeing it for the first time as they are. I'm getting that feel.
Right, and the other thing is, you know, photos are good. But the thing about this video is he's describing it. He's the narrator, and I assume he was at the scene of the crime, if not taking the video himself. But he's adding the Manchurian Candidate DVD or movie. You know, the magazine for the firearm, her arm sticking out of the garbage bag. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Right. Exactly. And when you see something like this, you said this is very powerful, almost better than photos. Do you see this frequently?
Rarely. That's what I'm saying. I've seen videos of crime scenes, but not like this, where you're going into each room and you're going into the backyard. It's continuous, and you have a person do a play-by-play. This is great stuff.
Right, Gene. All right, really effective. We're going to get back to that courtroom live in a few. We have to take a break, though. Stay with us on Law and Crime. When we come back, we'll take you there. So we are watching live the crime scene investigator on the stand right now, pulling out dozens, it seems like, of evidence bags here with all sorts of evidence that he's showing us. We've seen some DVDs, we've seen a .30 caliber rifle, we've seen cartridge boxes, all sorts of things. Gene Rossi, what do you think of this?
Well, what was great is we did the video, the Blair Witch Project, as you called it, off screen, which was phenomenal. And what he did is he identified, I think that's the Manchurian Candidate, but he identified
You've
certain
got about a
things
minute here, Gene.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. He identified certain important things, and then they brought the important things to him in a witness box. So he saw it on video. He described it in the witness box. He reinforced what the jury needs to know.
Yeah, it's kind of the 2 tiers here now of seeing all this. We saw it as we walked through the home, and now we're seeing each item basically itemized one by one. It's really effective.
It is, and this is old school, Angelica. They got the bag of evidence. They open it up in the courtroom. There's sort of a little bit of excitement. What I used to do is I would remove it from the bag and show it to them before the jury came out with the court's permission.
All right, Gene, we're taking a break right now. Stay with us. More when we come back on Law and Crime. Welcome back to Law and Crime. You are looking live at the trial of Eric Boyd in Tennessee. He's the 27-year-old man accused in the gruesome murders of Shannon Christian and her boyfriend, Christopher Newsome. That happened back in 2007. According to police, both the victims were kidnapped, beaten, raped, and killed. Shannon Christian was only 21 years old, and her boyfriend, Christopher Newsome, was 23 years old. They were ambushed in a parking lot and carjacked. They were then taken to a rental house, and that's where they were tortured. Newsome was executed a couple hours after he was abducted. His body was set on fire. Shannon is believed to have been held captive in the house, where she was repeatedly assaulted. Ultimately, she was wrapped in trash bags, stuffed in a trash can, and left to die and suffocate. Completely awful story we have here. We've been looking live, and on the stand right now is Joe Cox. He's a crime scene investigator. Let's go back to that trial live. Okay, so that crime scene investigator just wrapped up right there, and we saw him continue to go through all of the evidence. Live on the screen right now, you can see one of our previous witnesses is right there in the middle of the row with the blonde hair. That is Kara Hodge. She testified earlier. She was a friend of Shannon. Gene, as we saw Joe Cox finish up with all that evidence, he said a lot of that came from a gray purse. So presumably that was Shannon's purse, correct?
Yes, I assume all that information, all those items came from her purse. I just find it hard to believe that these defendants were so stupid to leave all those items in a rental house. It was the gang that couldn't shoot straight, no pun intended. They are just the most incompetent criminals I've seen in a long time.
And when we saw him pulling through that evidence, a lot of it seemed just kind of like random things that, you know, don't necessarily relate to the crime. Why do they still have to pull out all of those and show them?
Well, I assume they're going to connect it somehow, because if you know, the video of the Manchurian Candidate, all that adds a little flavor to the search. I hope they connect it somehow, either with DNA, a fingerprint, or some type of forensic evidence. Otherwise, it's not something that I would have introduced at trial. It adds flavor, but it doesn't move the ball down the field.
Right. He mentioned a parking pass, makeup. Maybe in those situations, there's a fingerprint or some sort of tie there.
Right. And the M1 rifle, I assume, Christian Newsome may have been shot with the M1 rifle. I assume that's why they brought that in, or to show that this gang, a group of guys, was very violent, allegedly.
Right, and the gas can as well, and some of those other empty cartridges and whatnot all could be tied back to a weapon here.
Correct. Now, the gas can, that one definitely is relevant because sadly, Christopher seems to have been burned alive, or they burned him after he was deceased.
And talking about this trial a little generally, over the break, we were kind of chatting here, and we're like, what is their motive here? We don't really have any indication of what this motive here or why this happened.
Angelica, I was thinking the same thing before the break. You know, what compelled, allegedly, this group of 3, 4, 5 people to do this to this beautiful young couple that were dating? Why? Was it premeditated? Was it just random? Were they driving down the road and saw this couple and said, "Hey, let's allegedly take their lives"? I don't understand that. And I'd love to know if they ever got any cell phone data or anything like that from the defendants. Now, bear in mind, this crime, this alleged murders are 12 years old, and I'm amazed they still have all these bags of evidence in relatively pristine condition, because chain of custody sometimes can be a hiccup and a hurdle at trial to get it admitted.
All right, so we still have Joe Cox on the scene. Again, he is the crime scene investigator, and he continues to talk about evidence, show us more bags. He's been doing this for a while now, Gene, and it's kind of getting a little bit monotonous.
Okay, this is in the category of over-trying the case, number one. Number two, it is extremely disorganized. Number three, they have lost the big mo, the momentum. The highlight reel, if you will, was the video, and it's gone downhill since. This is painful to watch, and the reason I'm upset is it doesn't have to be like that. I've done many pieces of evidence just like this. I get it in a New York minute, and I move on. And the last thing I want to say is they're putting in things that have nothing to do with the charges. It's just superfluous. Surplusage.
Right. It's going to be hard to keep the jury's attention during all this, too, because it's so repetitive.
They're falling asleep, and I can't even see them. I'm falling asleep. We're all falling asleep. You got to add zest as much as you can. This is painful to watch. All
right, Gene. Well, we are going to continue watching it regardless. We're taking a break, though, right now, so we'll come back and go back live to Eric Boyd's trial in Tennessee. Stay with us.